Hydrogen in Saturn is in three states: gas, liquid, and metal. Hydrogen in Jupiter is also in the same state, but metal is its natural state. Thick clouds of carbon dioxide in Venus trap hydrogen mixed with radiation and strengthen the internal electromagnetic state of the planet. In the sun, the same hydrogen undergoes nuclear fusion and gets transformed into helium and the sun's corona. What exactly is this hydrogen in the solar system? Saturn is the after the fifth planet. Saturn is, but there two hydrogen is gas, liquid, and metal. Is there any working system of helium in Saturn? Yes, there is a helium system in Saturn's atmosphere, including a helium ocean and a significant helium gradient. Here's some information about helium in Saturn's atmosphere. Helium rain. Helium rain is a significant process in Saturn with a large helium gradient and a helium ocean. Helium abundance. Saturn's atmosphere is abundant, about 75% hydrogen and 25% helium. But the planet's helium is distributed unevenly. Most of the planet's helium is sinking through the hydrogen. Helium composition. Saturn's helium composition is different from the Sun's, which is more abundant in helium relative to hydrogen. Helium distribution. Some theories suggest that helium may have settled out of Saturn's outer layers. Helium measurement. Measuring Saturn's atmospheric helium content is important for understanding Saturn's evolution. ESA, Saturn's atmosphere. European Space Agency, HTTPS www.esa.int. Saturn's atmosphere. Saturn is approximately 75% hydrogen and 25% helium, with traces of other substances like methane and water ice. Saturn facts. NASA Science.government, HTTPS science.nasa.government. Saturn facts. Like Jupiter, Saturn is mostly made of hydrogen and helium, the same two main components that make up the Sun. The Saturn effect on Earth. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That is Saturn's effect on Earth. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase the Lord. That's Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm, a unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. Just as in the sun, helium tries to suppress fusion by forming an outer layer, but on Saturn there is no fusion effect. Yet a sea of helium is present. Is the sea of helium the reason for Saturn's atmospheric clouds? No. The presence of helium in Saturn's atmosphere does not directly cause its clouds, but the planet's atmosphere does have many outer interesting features. Helium rain. Helium rain is a real phenomenon that occurs in Saturn and Jupiter. As helium liquefies and falls towards the planet's center, it's responsible for Saturn's excess energy emission and helium deficit cloud layer. Saturn's clouds are made of ammonia, ammonium hydrosulfide and water. The top cloud deck is made of ammonia clouds. The second is made of ammonium hydrosulfide clouds and the lowest is made of water clouds. Hexagonal clouds pattern. Saturn has a hexagonal cloud pattern that rotates with the same period as the planet's radio emissions. The sides of the hexagon are longer than the diameter of Earth. Seasonal effects. Saturn's atmosphere exhibits seasonal effects with a hazier summer hemisphere and clear skies in winter. Saturn, NASA science.government, HDBS science.nasa.government. Saturn, NASA's Hubble watches spoke season on Saturn. 3-minute read. This photo of Saturn was taken by NASA's Hubble Space Telescope on October 2023 when the ringed planet was approximately 850 million miles from Earth. Hubble's ultra-sharp vision reveals a phenomenon called ring spokes. Saturn spokes are transient features. Article 9 months ago, Cassini top 10 images of 2011 1 minute read. Where were you during the storm in 2011? NASA's Cassini spacecraft circled Saturn for a front row view of the huge storm. There, one of those looks made the mission scientists list of top 10 images of 2011 article 10 months ago. Saturn has a cloudy atmosphere, which is why it is so. But friends, the real identity of Saturn is its ring. It is a wonderful ring. It is an unprecedented debris. It is. Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Flag of a duster smoke, Saturn's army grip. What is that whose grip? Saturn is another. What is that whose grip? Saturn is another. Flag of a dust or smoke, Saturn's army drip. What is that whose degree? Saturn is another. What is that whose degree? Saturn is another. Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Saturn is one another ring, after all formed by Jovian king. After all formed by Jovian king. One is Saturn, another ring, after all formed by Jovian king. After all formed by Jovian king, wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Although in the entire solar system, the gas giants and the ice giants planets may be visible or invisible, but rings are present as per NASA's explanation. But the special thing is that Saturn is identified only through its rings. Saturn itself is always surrounded by clouds as per NASA's explanation. Apart from this ring of Saturn is also always present along with the rotation of Saturn. Like every planet, Saturn also has day and night rotation. Does the ring rotate in the opposite direction of Saturn's rotation? No. Saturn's rings rotate in the same direction as the planet, but at different speeds. Rotation. Saturn rotates once every 10 hours, which is more than twice as fast as Earth. Orbit. The rings orbit Saturn in the same direction as the planet, but the inner rings move faster than the outer ones. This is in accordance with Kepler's third law. Saturn has giant rings and a moon full of space lakes. The rings are made up of billions of small chunks of ice and rock and range in size from dust sized giants grains to chunks as big as houses. The rings are spread out evenly, so it's difficult to see them rotating in time lapse movies of Saturn's rotation. As Saturn rotation, so do its rings, but the ring material is so evenly spread out along each ring that in this movie one cannot see the rings rotating around Saturn. Saturn facts. NASA Science.government, HTTPS science.nasa.government. Saturn facts rings. Saturn's rings are thought to be pieces of comets, asteroids or Saturn moons that broke up before they reached the planet. Torn apart by Saturn's powerful gravity, they are made of billions of small chunks of ice and rock coated with other materials such as dust. The ring particles mostly range from teeny dust-sized icy grains to chunks as big as a house. A few particles are as large as mountains. The rings would look mostly white if you looked at them from the cloud tops of Saturn, and interestingly each ring orbits at a different speed around the planet. Saturn's ring system extends up to 175,000 miles, 282,000 kilometers from the planet, yet the vertical height is typically about 30 feet 10 meters in the main rings, named alphabetically in the order they were discovered. The rings are relatively close to each other with the exception of a gap measuring 2,920 miles, 4,700 kilometers in white called the Cassini division that separates rings A and B. The main rings are A, B, C and C. Rings D, E, F and G are fainter and more recently discovered. Starting at Saturn and moving outward, there is the D ring, C ring, B ring, Cassini division, A ring, F ring, G ring and finally the E ring. Much further out there is the very faint Phoebe ring in the orbit of Saturn's moon Phoebe. Trapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris, nebula or sound? What is the debris, nebula or sound? Flag of a duster smoke, Saturn's army grip. What is that whose grip? Saturn is another. What is that whose grip? Saturn is another flag of dust or smoke. Saturns are many dreams. What is that? Who's agree? Saturn is another. What is that? Who's agree? Saturn is another. Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris? Nebula or sound? What is the debris? Nebula or sound? Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris? Nebula or sound? What is the debris? Nebula or sound? Saturn is the one another ring after all formed by Jovian king. After all formed by Jovian king. One is Saturn, another ring. After all formed by Jovian king. After all formed by Jovian king. Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris? Nebula or sound? What is the debris? Nebula or sound? Wrapped in a debris, Jovian is Saturn. What is the debris? Nebula or sound? What is the debris? Nebula or sound? Saturn and its rings are two parts located in different locations, but Saturn cannot exist without debris. Was Saturn born with rings? No. Saturn's rings are not believed to have been present when the planet formed, but instead formed much later. Formation theory. Saturn's rings are thought to have formed when a former moon of Saturn called Chrysalis was torn apart and disintegrated. This could have happened when Titan, Saturn's largest moon, destabilized crystallizes orbit. Age. Saturn's rings are estimated to be no more than a few 100 million years old, which is much younger than the planet itself, which formed 4.5 billion years ago. Composition. The rings are made of billions of small chunks of ice and rock coated with other materials such as dust. Longevity. The rings are thought to be short-lived compared to the age of the solar system and may only last another few 100 million years at most. According to new research by NASA and its partners, Saturn's rings could have evolved from the debris of two icy moons that collided and shattered a few 100 million years ago. Debris that did not end up in the rings could also have contributed to the formation of some of Saturn's present day moons. 26 September 2023. New simulations shed light on origins of Saturn's rings and NASA.government, HTTPS, www.nasa.government, solar system, new simulations. On a clear night with a decent amateur telescope, Saturn and its series of remarkable rings can be seen from Earth's surface. But how did those rings come to be? And what can they tell us about Saturn and its moons? One of the potential locations NASA hopes to search for life. A new series of supercomputer simulations has offered an answer to the mystery of the ring's origins, one that involves a massive collision back when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. According to new research by NASA and its partners, Saturn's rings could have evolved from the debris of two icy moons that collided and shattered a few hundred million years ago. Debris that did not end up in the rings could also have contributed to the formation of some of Saturn's present day moons. There's so much we still don't know about the Saturn system, including its moons that host environments that might be suitable for life, said Jacob Kegaris, a research scientist at NASA's Ames Research Center in California's Silicon Valley. So it's exciting to use big simulations like this to explore in detail how they could have evolved. NASA's Cassini mission helped scientists understand just how young, astronomically speaking, Saturn's rings and probably some of its moons are, and that knowledge opened up new questions about how they formed. To learn more, the research team turned to the Durham University location of the distributed research using advanced computing DIRAC supercomputing facility in the United Kingdom. They modeled what different collisions between precursor moons might have looked like. These simulations were conducted at a resolution more than 100 times higher than previous such studies, using the open source simulations code SWIFT and giving scientists their best insights into the Saturn system's history. Saturn's rings today lie close to the planet within what's known as the Roche limit, the farthest orbit where a planet's gravitational force is powerful enough to disintegrate large bodies of rock or ice that get any closer. Material orbiting further out could clump together to form moons. By simulating almost 200 different variations of the impact, the team discovered that a wide range of collision scenarios could scatter the right amount of the ice into Saturn's Roche limit, where it could have settled into rings. And while alternative explanations have not been able to show why there would be almost no rock in Saturn's rings, they are made almost entirely of chunks of ice. This type of collision could explain them. This scenario naturally leads to ice-rich rings, said Vincent Eka, associate professor in the Department of Physics, Institute for Computational Cosmology at Durham University and co-author on the paper. When the icy progenitor moons smash into one another, the rock in the cores of the colliding bodies is dispersed less widely than the overlying ice. Ice and rocky debris would also have hit other moons in the system, potentially causing a cascade of collisions. Such a multiplying effect could have disrupted any other precursor moons outside the rings, out of which today's moons could have formed. But what could have set these events in motion in the first place? Two of Saturn's former moons could have been pushed into a collision by the usually small effects of the sun's gravity, adding up to destabilize their orbits around the planet in the right configuration of the orbits. The extra pull from the sun can have a snowballing effect, a resonance that elongates and tilts the moon's usually circular and flat orbits until their paths cross, resulting in a high speed impact. Saturn's moon Rhea today orbits just beyond where a moon would encounter this resonance. Like the Earth's moon, Saturn's satellites migrate outward from the planet over time. So if Rhea were ancient, it would have crossed the resonance in the recent past. However, Rhea's orbit is very circular and flat. This suggests that it did not experience the destabilizing effects of the resonance and instead formed more recently. The new research aligns with evidence that Saturn's rings formed recently, but there are still big open questions. If at least some of the icy moons of Saturn are also young, then what could that mean for the potential for life in the oceans under the surface of worlds like Enceladus? Can we unravel the full story from the planet's original system before the impact through to the present day? Future research building on this work will help us learn more about this fascinating planet and the icy worlds that orbit it. For researchers, this research was published in the Astrophysical Journal September 26, 2023. A recent impact origin of Saturn's rings and mid-sized moons. More information about the open source SWIFT simulation code used in this research can be found here. For new media, members of the news media interested in covering this topic should reach out to the NASA Ames newsroom. Author Frank Travers, NASA's Ames Research Center. The Saturn effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That is Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right. Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase the Lord. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Since when has Saturn had a ring? Saturn's rings are relatively young, having formed between 10 and 400 million years ago, compared to the planet's age of 4.5 billion years. 10 to 100 million years ago, a 2019 study by UC Berkeley's Miltjard and team concluded that the rings formed within this time frame. The rings could be the remains of a comet or a former moon that was destroyed by Saturn's tidal force. No more than 400 billion years old, a 2023 study by CU Boulders Kemp and team used data from NASA's Cassini spacecraft to conclude that the rings are no more than 400 million years old. Ring rain. The Cassini spacecraft detected a flow of charged neutral material from the rings to the planet in 2017. If this influx rate is stable, the rings could be gone in under 100 million years. The research published May 12 in the journal Science Advances pages the age of Saturn's rings at no more than 400 million years old, that make the rings much younger than Saturn itself, which is about 4.5 billion years old. 12 May 2023. Cassini Saturn rings. NASA Science.Government. https science.nasa.government. Mission Cassini Science. F. Saturn rings overview. Scientists had never before studied the size, temperature, composition and distribution of Saturn's rings from Saturn orbit. Cassini captured extraordinary ring-moon interaction, observed the lowest ring temperature ever recorded at Saturn, discovered that the moon Enceladus is the source for Saturn's ring, and viewed the rings at equinox when sunlight strikes the ring's edge on, revealing never before seen ring feature and details. Key points: the particles that make up Saturn's rings range in size from smaller than a grain of sand to as large as mountains. Cassini found that water jets from the moon Enceladus provide much of the material in Saturn's ring. A diffuse ring outside of the bright main rings. Cassini studied features in Saturn's rings called spokes, which can be longer than the diameter of Earth. Scientists think they are made of teeny icy particles that are lifted by an electrostatic charge and only last a few hours. During Saturn's equinox, when the rings face the sun edge on, Cassini watched ring particles produce elongated shadows that revealed unexpectedly immense ring chunks that measured miles, kilometers in size. No other planet in our solar system has rings as splendid as Saturn's. They are so expansive and bright they were discovered as soon as humans began pointing the telescopes at the night sky. Galileo Galilei was the first person known to view the heavens through a telescope. He secured his status as an astronomical giant when he discovered Jupiter's four largest moons in 1610. Saturn is nearly twice as far from the Sun as Jupiter, and yet Saturn's rings are so big and brilliant that Galileo discovered them the same year he spotted Jupiter's moon. In the 400 years since Galileo's discovery, the rings have become Saturn's telltale feature and are perhaps the most recognized characteristic of any world of our solar system. Cassini spent more than a decade examining them more closely than any spacecraft has before. Along with Saturn and its moons, the rings are one of the three primary components of the Saturn system. The rings are generally about 30 feet 10 meters thick or so and are almost completely composed of billions if not trillions of chunks of water ice ranging in size from smaller than a grain of sand to the size of a mountain. The Cassini mission helped scientists understand some of the rings' strange behaviors and observe some new ones. By the way, Saturn has rings, so after all, it is a gas giant like Jupiter, or I can say Jovian. Jovian means it has many moons. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual life flight of satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Big and small mission Saturn, more than 80 satellites. The hanging titan just as close as the earth. The hanging titan just as close as the earth. Big and small mixed in Saturn, more than 80 satellites. The hanging titan just as close as the earth. The hanging titan just as close as the earth. Jovian means how many natural satellite. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellite. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Jovian means how many natural satellite. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Just like earth there, water everywhere. The Titan natural satellite is every more rocky. The Titan natural satellite is even more rocky. Just like earth there, water everywhere. That Titan natural satellite is even more rocky. The Titan natural satellite is even more rocky. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification flight of satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Saturn is currently counted as the 155 natural satellite in our list. Among these, the Titan satellite is very well known to us for having an ocean of water like the Earth. Would any spacecraft have been sent to explore the Saturn and Titan satellites? Yes, several spacecraft have been sent to visit Saturn and its moons, including Cassini, a joint mission between NASA, the European Space Agency (ESA) and the Italian Space Agency (ASI). Cassini orbited Saturn for 13 years, starting in 2004. It also carried the Huygens probe, which landed on Titan in 2005. Pioneer 11, the first spacecraft to study Saturn, up close in September 1979. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, twin spacecraft that flew by Saturn in 1980 and 1981. Dragonfly, a NASA mission scheduled to launch in 2028 to land on Titan and search for signs of life. The mission will carry an instrument called the Dragonfly Mass Spectrometer (TRAMS) to help scientists study Titan's chemistry. Yet, in fact, NASA has been there 4 times, 3 flyby missions, Pioneer 11, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and 1 orbital mission, the Cassini Huygens probe, which explored the Saturn system for 13 years and dropped a probe onto the surface of the moon Titan 21 April 2024. Saturn exploration, NASA Science.Government, HTTPS .nasa.government Saturn exploration. 4 robotic spacecraft have visited Saturn. NASA's Pioneer 11 provided the first close look in September 1979. Cassini Huizin NASA.government HDBS Science.nasa.government mission Cassini Huizin for more than a decade. NASA's Cassini spacecraft started the wonders of Saturn and its family of icy moons. It took us to astounding worlds where methane rivers run to a methane sea and where gates of ice and gas are blasting material into space from a liquid water ocean that might harbor the ingredients for life. Mission to Saturn. For more than a decade, NASA's Cassini spacecraft shared the wonders of Saturn, its spectacular rings, and its family of icy moons. Cassini was a sophisticated robotic spacecraft sent to study Saturn and its complex system of rings and moons in unprecedented detail. It was one of the most ambitious efforts ever mounted in planetary exploration. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of the satellites. Identification of the gas giants, the actual flight of the satellites. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of the gas giants, the actual flight of the satellites. Identification of the gas giants, the actual flight of the satellites. Big and small mixed in Saturn, more than 80 satellites. The hanging Titan just as close as the Earth. The hanging Titan just as close as the Earth. Big and small mixed in Saturn, more than 80 satellites. The hanging Titan just as close as the Earth. The hanging Titan just as close as the Earth. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Identification of gas giants, the actual flight of satellites. Just like Earth, there water everywhere. The Titan natural satellite is every more rocky. The Titan natural satellite is even more rocky. Just like Earth, there water everywhere. That Titan natural satellite is even more rocky. The Titan natural satellite is even more rocky. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification flight of satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Jovian means how many natural satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. Identification of gas giant, the actual flight of satellites. The gaseous giants are actually called Jovians. Jovians means orbiting The sun with more than one or two moons. By the way, Saturn has 146 natural satellites so far. Would Saturn have 147 natural satellites if Saturn did not have rings? Yes, Saturn would still have many moons if it did not have rings. Saturn's moons number 146, size from larger than Mercury to as small as a sports arena. Notable moons: Titan, Enceladus, Pandora, Prometheus, Pan, and Atlas. Features: some moons have oceans under icy shells, and others collect material from Saturn's rings and magnetosphere. Saturn's moons are believed to have been captured by the planet's gravity over time as they came too close to Saturn and were gradually pulled into orbit. Saturn moon, NASA science.government, https science.nasa.government. Saturn moons. The Saturn system teams with natural satellites from planet-sized Titan to small oddballs shaped like potatoes or ravioli. Saturn has 146 moons in its orbit, more than any other planet. The moons range in size from larger than the planet Mercury, the giant moon Titan, to as small as a sport arena. The small moon Enceladus has a global ocean under a thick icy shell. Scientists have identified both moons as high priority science destinations for future deep space missions. Saturn's moon shape contribute to and also collect material from Saturn's rings and magnetosphere. The Saturn effect on Earth. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That is Saturn's effect on Earth. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase the Lord. That's Saturn's effect on Earth. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That's Saturn's effect on Earth. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of a harm. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. Due to which this ring was formed in Saturn. What was the name of it? It collided with Saturn, which created the ring. Scientists believe that Saturn's rings were formed by the collision of one or more of Saturn's moons with an asteroid or comet. The collision broke the moon into many pieces which spread out around Saturn and formed the rings. Scientists have used computer simulations to model the collision and its aftermath. One hypothesis is that the collision of two icy moons caused the rock in their course to disperse less widely than the ice, resulting in ice-rich rings. The mystery behind the origin of what may be Saturn's oddest ring and its two companion moons may finally be solved. They came from an ancient catastrophic collision. Researchers say Prometheus and Pandora, two of Saturn's more than 60 moons, flank the F-ring on either side, weaving inside and outside the ring. 18 August 2015. The rings of Saturn. NASA.government, HTTPS caps.jsfc.nasa.government, Samsung, Kingswood, rings, individual rings. As I mentioned earlier, Saturn has an extensive system rings consisting of several individual rings named A, B, C, D, E, F and G, named in the order of their discovery. The main or classical rings are A, B and C. We have known about these rings since the 17th century. The others have been discovered only very recently. The A ring. The A and B rings are the big brightness rings. They are the ones you will see when looking at Saturn in a telescope. The A and B ring are marked on the picture sent I sent you last time. The A and B rings are separated by the Cassini division, which is a large gap in the rings caused by the gravitational pull of Saturn's moon Mimas. The A ring is the one further from Saturn on the outside of the Cassini division. It's a bit darker than the B ring. The A ring is made up of chunks of water ice from the size of a building down to an inch or smaller. As I mentioned before, the inner edge of the A ring at the Cassini division is due to the gravitational pull of Saturn's moon Mimas. The outer edge of the A ring is similarly due to the gravitational pull of two other moons called Janus and Epimethus. Any particles just outside the outer edge of the A ring will be pulled out of that area by the gravitational pull of these moons. Within the outer parts of the A ring, we find two narrow gaps in the ring, much narrower than the Cassini division. The NK gap is due the gravitational pull of a small moon called Pan that actually orbits Saturn within the gap. The killer gap, also in outer a ring, is similarly due to a small moon called Daphnis that orbits Saturn within the gap. Daphnis was discovered just recently. The B ring. The B ring is the other of Saturn's two main bright rings. It's inside the A ring closer to Saturn and is the brightest of all the rings. Like the A ring, it is made of chunks of water ice of varying size. The outer edge of the B ring is in the Cassini division. It is due to the gravitational pull or Saturn's moon Mimas. The C ring. The C ring is located inside B ring closer to Saturn. It is fainter and harder to see than A and B rings. Like the A and B rings, it is also made of particles of water ice, but these are covered with dark material that makes the C ring darker. The A ring and B rings. The D ring. The D ring is the closest ring to Saturn, as you can tell from your ring map. Like the C ring, its ice particles are also covered with dark material. The D ring is also very tenacious and is made of microscopic particles, so it's fairly difficult to see. I don't think it's been seen from Earth. Yet it was detected by one of the Voyager spacecraft in the early 1980s. The E-ring. The E-ring is the ring farthest from Saturn. As you can see from your map of Saturn's rings, the E-ring is much wider than any of the other rings. The ring is very tenacious, though, so the E-ring is fairly difficult to see. It is possible to see it from Earth when the rings are nearly edge on. The E-ring is centered on Saturn's moon Enceladus. Enceladus is about 4 Saturn radii from Saturn. If you want to locate it on your ring map, the densest part of the E-ring is right at Enceladus orbit, which suggests that Enceladus is the source of the particles in the E-ring. In fact, we have just recently discovered that that's what's happening. There is a geyser at the south pole of Enceladus that is shooting a jet of water particles into space, and its particles from this geyser there has created the E-ring. We are still not sure how the geyser works, where the water is coming from, and similar details, but we are working on that now. The water particles that make up the E-ring are microscopic in size, about 1 to 1000 of a millimeter. The F-ring. The F-ring was discovered in September 1979 by the Pioneer 11 spacecraft, so it is a fairly recent discovery. If you look at your ring map, you will find that the F-ring is the narrowest of the ring. It is located just outside the A-ring. Close observation of the E-ring, F-ring has shown that it is made of strands of intertwining ring particles, so it has a very interesting structure. Just inside the F-ring is a moon called Prometheus, and just outside the F-ring is another smaller moon called Pandora. These are Sephardic moons whose gravitational pull keeps the F-ring to its narrow width. The F-ring is still a bit of mystery. We don't really understand the details of how the strands are formed or exactly how the Sephardic moons do what they do. They're smoothing something we are still working on. The G-ring. The G-ring is the most recently discovered. It is a narrow ring located between F and E-rings. It is made of particles that are mostly microscopic, up to maybe 1 millimeter or so in size. I think that should do for now. Later I will send along some further information on shepherding moons and some of the detailed features like spokes that we see in the ring. From A to G, there is discussion of Saturn's ring. Above that, above that, there is the moon at 146. Naturally, Saturn is very disciplined. That is why it is said that the wrath of Saturn's sight is severed. It is said that at Sanat's sight the wrath is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Satan's sight the wrath is heavy. It comes into life with unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with unpleasant epidemic. Any thought or behavior joki mockery. Physical and mental feeling of unknown illness. Physical and mental feeling of unknown illness. Any thoughts or behavior joke mockery. Physical and mental feeling of unknown illness. Physical and mental feeling of unknown illness. It is said that Satan's society, the wrath is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Satan's society, the wrath is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. Of the planet is Saturn, the effect is bad. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. Of the planet Saturn, the effect is bad. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. It is said that Saturn's side, the wrath is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Saturn's side, the wrath is heavy. It comes into life the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life the unpleasant epidemic. By the way, Saturn is always surrounded by clouds. It is not only difficult but almost impossible to see Saturn from Earth. And in the history of astrology, Saturn is a symbol of an epidemic. Why is Saturn's sight considered a curse in astrology calculations? What is the scientific explanation about Saturn in astrology? In astrology, Saturn is associated with discipline, structure and responsibility and is often called the disciplinarian of the zodiac. Here are some ways that Saturn's influence is said to manifest life lessons. Saturn is linked to life lessons and maturation, and pupil under its influence may face challenge, delay and obstacles. Hard work. Saturn represents hard work and the value of hard earned money. Long term goals. Saturn symbolize long term goals and achievements, and its influence can be both demanding and rewarding. Career and authority. Saturn influences career and authority time, regulations and boundaries. Saturn is associated with time, regulations and boundaries. Emotional, practical, social and intellectual challenges. Saturn's placement in different elements can indicate the nature of the challenges and achievements is brings about. For example, in water signs, challenges are more emotional, while in earth signs they are more practical. Assertiveness, courage or ego. In fire signs, challenges tend to involve matters of assertiveness, courage or ego. Understanding Saturn's power. Saturn is often referred to as the disciplinarian of the zodiac, symbolizing responsibility, structure and long-term goals. Its influence can be both demanding and rewarding, so comprehending its impact on various aspects of life is essential for navigating cosmic energies. 18 October 2023. Saturn, the key karmic challenge in the horoscope. Theosophical Society in America, HTTPS www.theosophical.organization, Quest Magazine. Saturn, the key karmic challenge in the horoscope, printed in the summer 2021 issue of Quest Magazine. Citation: Grace Ray. Saturn, the key karmic challenge in the horoscope, Quest 108 3, page 30 to 39, by Ray Grace. More years ago than I care to remember, I heard a visiting astrologer make the offhand comment that Saturn's placement in the horoscope indicates the location of one's key karmic challenge in this lifetime. If reincarnation is real, as I personally believe it to be, I think it's probably that several other factors in the horoscope also relate to karma. Pluto, the 12th house, the nodes of the moon, one's closest hard aspect, and still others. For that matter, the entire horoscope is likely karmic insofar as it has all resulted to one extent or another from momentums set into motions over many lives. But having thought about that astrologer's comment quite a bit since first hearing it, I have come to believe there is indeed something unique about Saturn as representing an especially focused symbol of one's current life challenges. Astrologers commonly refer to Saturn as the planetary taskmaster of the horoscope, and that's not a bad way to put it. Without question, wherever Saturn is in the chart is where fate does not let you get away with your mistakes very easily. I would like to add a further layer of meaning beyond simply indicating a focused point of difficulty or frustration. The placement of Saturn also signals where we can potentially achieve our greatest success and achievement in life. There are a couple of possible reasons for that. One is that from a reincarnational standpoint, Saturn may show where we have the greatest reservoir of experience stored up from previous lifetimes. With that naturally comes a considerable backing backlash backyard of learned skills. However slow those might seem in unfolding this time around, by analogy think of how much longer a 100-car freight train takes to pick up speed that one with only 5 or 10 cars attached. Another reason for the enormous potential contained within Saturn centers around the very difficulty and struggle that it presents to us. In other words, the enormous effort Saturn requires to deal with its problems can lead to a considerable level of mystery, what I have often referred to as the late bloomer side of Saturn. See the easy Saturn, the late bloomer, in my book under a sacred sky essay on the philosophy and practice of astrology, where I explore this slow developing side of Saturn in relation to the planets. As the old saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grass, and Saturn might well be thought of as the squeaky wheel of the horoscope. But all of that heightened attention brings a heightened degree of learning and expertise as well. As the key taskmaster of the horoscope, Saturn keeps pounding away at us until we finally get things right. Whatever you preferred explanation, I would like to take you on a quick tour through the zodiac to see how this dual effect of Saturn can manifest in each of the signs, with a karmic look at both the negative and positive sides of this planet. It is said that at Sanatana site the wraith is heavy. It comes into life with unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Satan's society the wraith is heavy. It comes into life with unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with unpleasant epidemic. Any thought or behavior जोखिम मोकड़ी physical and mental feeling of unknown illness, physical and mental feeling of unknown illness, any thoughts or behavior जोखिम मोकड़ी physical and mental feeling of unknown illness, physical and mental feeling of unknown illness. It is said that Satan's society the wraith is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Satan's society the wraith is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. Of the planet is Saturn, the effect is bad. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. Of the planet Saturn, the effect is bad. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. Whether childhood or old age, danger from Saturn's eye. It is said that Satan's side, the wraith is heavy. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Satan's side, the wraith is heavy. It comes into life the unpleasant epidemic. It comes into life with the unpleasant epidemic. It is said that Saturn operated in a very disciplined manner. Does Saturn's discipline apply to us humans as well? Why do we humans fear Saturn? Why do we humans consider Saturn to be the greatest god? He was described as a god of time, generation, dissolution, abundance, wealth, agriculture, periodic, renewal and liberation. Liberation. Saturn's mythological ring was depicted as a golden age of abundance and peace. After the Roman conquest of Greece, he was conflated with the Greek titan Cronus. Saturn, god of agriculture, harvest and time, Britannica. HTTPS www.britannica.com. Topic: Saturn god. Saturn in Roman religion, the god of sowing or seed. The Romans equated him with the Greek agricultural deity Cronus. Saturn, the Roman god who knows how to party. History Cooperative, HTTPS history cooperative.organization. Saturn god. Saturn was a god associated with agriculture, wealth and time. He was often depicted as an older man with a long beard holding a sickle or scythe. Roman god Saturn overview and mythology lesson study.com, https study.com academy lesson. The Roman god Saturn is the Roman god of liberation, agriculture, abundance, prosperity and peace. The Saturn effect on us, don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, that is Saturn's effect on us, don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the law. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the law. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the law. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase the law. That Saturn's effect on us, don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That Saturn's effect on us, don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us, don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us, don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Are humans afraid of Saturn because it keeps its 146 natural satellites on the right path? Do Saturn's natural satellites not collide? While there have not been any observed collisions between Saturn's natural satellites, there is evidence of past collisions that may have shaped the planet. Saturn's rings, a collision between two icy moons a few hundred million years ago, may have created Saturn's ring. The collision would have ejected debris that form the rings, which are made up of icy fragments. Retrograde, irregular moons, a moderate sized moon orbiting Saturn backward may have been blown apart about 100 million years ago. The size distribution of the moons suggests a recent collision event impact craters. Impact craters on Saturn's moons may have been formed by collisions with smaller moons, asteroids or comets. Basically, the two satellites of Saturn, Janus and Epimetheus, share the same orbit. They are about the same distance from the planet and orbit at about the same speed. However, they never overtake each other or collide. 19 December 2018. New simulations shed light on origins of Saturn's rings. NASA.government, HTTPS www.nasa.government, solar system, new simulations. 26 September 2023. Identifying debris objects. The surviving remnants and accumulated fragments produced by the SPH simulations are identified using a standard friends of friends algorithm where particles within a certain distance of each other, the linking length link are grouped together at the relatively short time after impact of our analysis. Most of these objects are still embedded in a debris field. This makes the precise choice of linking length somewhat arbitrary because small changes in the linking length yield slightly different groups. In contrast with bodies in a vacuum with clear surfaces which would be identified much the same for a wider range of linking lengths. For our primary resolution of 107.5 particles, we set link is equal to 15 kilometer, which scales for other resolution with the cube root of the particle mass. Will test the sensitivity of our results to this choice by repeating the analysis for significantly lower and higher link of plus minus 20%, 12 and 18 kilometer for 107.5 particles. See figure 3. Even smaller or even larger linking lengths start to no longer include the ice mantles and rocky cores of bodies in the same group or connect together many incohesive fragments into the same group respectively. Be it the ring or the 146 moons of Saturn, everything is being managed very well. Perhaps this is the reason why we humans consider Saturn a god. Anyway, Saturn is 9 times the size of our Earth. 9 times that of Earth. 9.5 AU distance from the Sun. That's Saturn orbital rotation. 29.4 years to come, please. That's Saturn orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to come, please. 9 times that of Earth. 9.5 AU distance from the Sun. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to come, please. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 are the years to complete. Rotation speed is 25 1637 MPa. Latitudinal speed 10.7 hour. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. Rotation speed 21,737 MPa. Latitudinal speed 10.7 hours. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. 9 times that of air. 9.5 AU distance from the sun. There's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 hours years to complete. There's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 hours years to complete. 9 times that of air. 9.5 AU distance from the sun. There's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 hours years to complete. There's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 hours years to complete. Can accommodate 750 years. The one in which Saturn is helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter, helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter, can accommodate 750 years. The one in which Saturn is helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter, helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter. 9 times that of air. 9.5 AU distance from the sun. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. 9 times that of air. 9.5 AU distance from the sun. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. You may or may not be able to spot Saturn in the sky with naked eyes, but Saturn's maternal is full of gases and liquids just like Jupiter. How are metallic parts of hydrogen gas formed in Saturn? Metallic hydrogen forms in Saturn when hydrogen gas is compressed to high pressures, causing the hydrogen molecules to lose their individual identities and behave like a metal. Hydrogen gas to liquid. As you go deeper into Saturn, the hydrogen gas pressure increases and the gas slowly turns into a liquid. Liquid to metallic hydrogen. At great depths, the hydrogen is under such pressure that it transforms into liquid metallic hydrogen. Metallic hydrogen. In this state, the hydrogen atoms lose their electrons, creating a stew of free floating hydrogen nuclei and electrons. The electrons can move easily between the nuclei, which is property of metals conductive. Metallic hydrogen is conductive and is believed to be a major contributor to the dynamo that powers Saturn's magnetic field. Deep within Saturn, the pressure is so enormous that it turns the hydrogen gas into a liquid, even though the Saturn from the outside in page 5 temperature is also very high, still deeper where the pressure is even greater, the liquid hydrogen acts like a metal and can conduct electricity. Saturn's fact, NASA science.government, https science.nasa.government, Saturn facts. Structure. Like Jupiter, Saturn is made mostly of hydrogen and helium. At Saturn's center is a dense core of metals like iron and nickel, surrounded by rocky material and other compounds solidified by intense pressure and heat. It is involved by liquid metallic hydrogen inside a layer of liquid hydrogen similar to Jupiter's core but considerably smaller. It's hard to imagine, but Saturn is the only planet in our solar system with an average density that is less than water. The giant gas planet could float in a bathtub if such a colossal thing existed. Surface. As a gas giant, Saturn does not have a true surface. The planet is mostly swirling gases and liquids deeper down, while a spacecraft would have nowhere to land on Saturn. It wouldn't be able to fly through unscathed either. The extreme pressures and temperatures deep inside the planet would crush, melt and vaporize any spacecraft trying to fly into the planet. Atmosphere. Saturn is blanketed with clouds that appear as faint strips, jet streams and storms. The planet is many different shades of yellow, brown and grey. Winds in the upper atmosphere reach 1600 feet per second, 500 meters per second in the equatorial region. In contrast, the strongest hurricane force winds on Earth top out at about 360 feet per second, 110 meters per second, and the pressure, the same kind you feel when you dive deep underwater, is so powerful it squeezes gas into a liquid. Saturn's North Pole has an interesting atmospheric feature, a six-sided jet stream. This hexagon-shaped pattern was first noticed in images from the Voyager 1 spacecraft and has been more closely observed by the Cassini spacecraft since, spanning about 20,000 miles, 30,000 kilometers across. The hexagon is a wavy jet stream of 200 miles per hour, winds about 322 kilometers per hour, with a massive rotating storm at the center. There is no weather feature like it anywhere else in the solar system. Magnetosphere. Saturn's magnetosphere magnetic field is similar than Jupiter's but still 578 times as powerful as Earth's. Saturn, the rings, and many of the satellites lie totally within Saturn's enormous magnetosphere, the region of space in which the behavior of electrically charged particles is influenced more by Saturn's magnetic field than by the solar wind. Aurora occur when charged particles spiral into a planet's atmosphere along magnetic field lines. On Earth, these charged particles comes from the solar wind. Cassini showed that at least some of Saturn's aurora are like Jupiter's and are largely unaffected by the solar wind. Instead, these aurora are caused by a combination of particles ejected from Saturn's moons and Saturn's magnetic field's rapid rotation rate. But these non-solar originating aurora are not completely understood yet. 9 times the day of year, 9.5 AU distance from the sun. There's Saturn orbital rotation, 29.4 years to complete. There's Saturn orbital rotation, 29.4 years to complete. 9 times the day of year, 9.5 AU distance from the sun. There's Saturn's orbital rotation, 29.4 Earth years to complete. There's Saturn's orbital rotation, 29.4 Earth years to complete. Rotation speed is 1067 MPa. Latitudinal speed 10.7 hours. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. Rotation speed 21,737 MPa. Latitudinal speed 10.7 hours. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. Day and night are very short. The year is heavy and heavy. 9 times the day of year, 9.5 AU distance from the sun. There's Saturn's orbital rotation, 29.4 hours years to complete. There's Saturn's orbital rotation, 29.4 hours years to complete. 9 times the day of year, 9.5 AU distance from the sun. There's Saturn's orbital rotation, 29.4 hours years to complete. There's Saturn's orbital rotation, 29.4 hours years to complete. Can accommodate 750 years, the one in which Saturn is helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter, helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter. Can accommodate 750 years, the one in which Saturn is helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter, helium and metallic hydrogen. Saturn has the charm of Jupiter. 9 times the day of year, 9.5 AU distance from the sun. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. 9 times that of a year. 9.5 AU distance from the sun. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. That's Saturn's orbital rotation. 29.4 Earth years to complete. There are few ways to measure planets, including angular diameter. Astronomers use a telescope to measure the apparent angular diameter of a planet, which is how large it appears against the sky distance. The distance between planets is measured in astronomical units. AU, which is the average distance between Earth and the Sun. The Copernicus method is used to measure the distance of a planet from the Sun, but it does not apply to Earth. Parallax. The parallax method measures the distance of a planet or star from Earth by observing how its position changes when viewed from different locations. Radial velocity. The radial velocity method uses gravity as a magnifying glass to search for exoplanets. It involves watching stars for teeny dips in starlight or oval at slow speeds. The method that is used for measuring distance of a planet or a star from Earth is known as the method of parallax. This method works on one principle, that the position of a planet or a star changes when viewed from different positions. How do we measure distance in space? BBC Sky at Night Magazine, HTTPS www.skymagazine.com. Space Science, 27 March 2021. How do we measure distance in space? How do we know how far away objects are in space, and what units of measurements are used in astronomy for determining these distances? How do astronomers measure distances in space? How can we possibly determine the distance to a nearly galaxy? Astronomers regularly talk with confidence about how far away stars and galaxies are, but how is it possible to calculate such distances? Astronomers measure the distance between objects in space using a tool called the cosmic distance ladder, which is a range of different interconnected techniques. See below. One of the main methods of determining distance in space is to use standard candles, astronomical objects that have a consistent inherent brightness, the diameter, the diameter they appear to us compared to this true brightness, the farther away they must be. Among the most common standard candles is a type of exploding star called a type 1a supernova, but this is not the only way of measuring distance in the universe. Below are some of the most effective ways of working out how far away an object is in space. For more mind-blowing cosmology, read our guide to the biggest objects in the universe. Find out how big the solar system is, or discover the science of the Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud. The Saturn effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That is Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase, Lord. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling, lest the untoward happen. Saturn is 9 times the size of Earth. Apart from this, it is said that 886 Earths can fit inside Saturn. What is the relevance of Saturn being 9 times the size of Earth and 886 Earth being inside it? What is the meaning of 9 times the size of Earth. 9 times the size of Earth could refer to the size of Saturn or the size of the exoplanet 55 Cancri E. Saturn, the second largest planet in our solar system. Saturn is about 9 times wider than Earth. Its equatorial diameter is about 74.898 miles, 120, 100, 536 kilometer. 55 Cancri E. This exoplanet is nearly twice the width of Earth and 9 times more massive. It's a super Earth that's made of lava and is located 41 light years away from Earth. What is a super Earth? NASA Science.government, HTTPS Science.nasa.government, exoplanets, super Earth. Super Earth basics. Super Earth, a class of planets unlike any in our solar system, are more massive than Earth yet lighter than ice giants like Neptune and Uranus, and can be made of gas, rock, or a combination of both. They are between twice the size of Earth and up to 10 times its mass. Super Earth is a reference only to an exoplanet's size larger than Earth and smaller than Neptune, but not suggesting they are necessarily similar to our home planet. The true nature of those planets remains shrouded in uncertainty because we have nothing like them in our own solar system, and yet they are common among planets found so far in our galaxy. Over the last 3 decades, we have discovered all kinds of strange planets we never knew existed and that have no analog in our solar system. Super Earths can be up to 10 times more massive than Earth. We don't yet know enough about these planets to tell at what point they might lose a rocky surface, but in the range of 3 to 10 times the mass of Earth, there might be a wide variety of planetary compositions, including water worlds, snowball planets, or planets that, like Neptune, are composed largely of dense gas. Exoplanets at the upper times of the super Earth size limit can also be referred to as sub Neptunes or mini Neptunes. Saturn is also very big and ranks second in the solar system in terms of big things, and in gaseous giants hydrogen and helium rule like the sun, but nuclear fusion of hydrogen takes place in the sun. In Jupiter, helium breaks down to form metallic hydrogen. Same is the case with Saturn. But what is the meaning of liquid hydrogen in Saturn? Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen, a very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Why is the ring heavier than Saturn? Yet the ring does not dissolve with the Saturn. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Why is the ring heavier than Saturn? Yet the ring does not dissolve with Saturn. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Saturn is so light, so much so that it floats in no water. Neither is Saturn's surface solid, light perhaps a miracle in gases. Neither is Saturn's surface is solid, light perhaps a miracle in gases. Saturn is so light, so much so that it floats in no water. Neither is Saturn's surface solid, light perhaps a miracle in gases. Neither is Saturn's surface solid, light perhaps a miracle in gases. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Friends, you already know that Saturn is also a gas giant planet like Jupiter. But there is a very special feature in Saturn which Jupiter cannot even imagine. Sorry friends, we are not as imaginative as we are that Jupiter can be. Actually, such things keep happening in article creators. Well, Jupiter is very heavy, but despite having all the same things in Saturn, Saturn is very light. Perhaps Saturn has a liquid state of hydrogen between gas and metallic hydrogen. This liquid hydrogen probably makes the planet so light that if the planet itself had more water, it would float in space. Anyway, why is Saturn so light? Saturn is so light because it's made of gases and has a lower density than water. Composition: Saturn is made of mostly hydrogen and some helium and is not solid like Earth. Density: Saturn's density is lower than water, so it would float it if it were placed in water. Size: Saturn is the second largest planet in the solar system, but its low density makes it lighter than other planets. Saturn facts: NASA Science.government, https science.nasa.government. Saturn facts. Introduction: like fellow gas giant Jupiter, Saturn is a massive ball made mostly of hydrogen and helium. Saturn is not the only planet to have rings, but none are as spectacular or as complex as Saturn. Saturn also has dozens of moons. From the jets of water that spray from Saturn's moon Enceladus to the methane lakes on smoggy Titan, the Saturn system is a rich source of scientific discovery and still holds many mysteries. Saturn has the second shortest day in the solar system. One day on Saturn takes only 10.7 hours. The time it takes for Saturn to rotate or spin around once. And Saturn makes a complete orbit around the Sun a year in Saturnian time in about 29.4 Earth years. 10.756 Earth days. Its axis is tilted by 26.73 degrees and respect to its orbit around the Sun, which is similar to Earth's 23.5 degree tilt. This means that, like Earth, Saturn experienced seasons. Saturn took shape when the rest of the solar system formed about 4.5 billion years ago, when gravity pulled swirling gas and dust into become this gas giant. About 4 billion years ago, Saturn settled into its current position in the outer solar system, where it is the sixth planet from the Sun. Like Jupiter, Saturn is mostly made of hydrogen and helium, the same two main components that make up the Sun. Like Jupiter, Saturn is made mostly of hydrogen and helium. At Saturn's center is a dense core of metals like iron and nickel, surrounded by rocky material and other compounds solidified by intense pressure and heat. It is enveloped by liquid metallic hydrogen inside a layer of liquid hydrogen, similar to Jupiter's core but considerably smaller. It's hard to imagine, but Saturn is the only planet in our solar system with an average density that is less than water. The giant gas planet could float in a bathtub if such a colossal thing existed. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen, a very unique liquid is that creation of helium. A very unique liquid is that creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen, a very unique liquid is that creation of helium. a very unique liquid, is the creation of helium. Why is the ring heavier than Saturn? Yet the ring does not dissolve with the Saturn. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Why is the ring heavier than Saturn? Yet the ring does not dissolve with Saturn. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Saturn has been there for centuries. Saturn is there and so is the ring. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Saturn is the solar, so much so that it floats in no water. Neither is Saturn's surface solid. Light perhaps a miracle in gas. Neither is Saturn's surface is solid. Light perhaps a miracle in gas. Saturn is the solar, so much so that it floats in no water. Neither is Saturn's surface solid. Light perhaps a miracle in gas. Neither is Saturn's surface solid. Light perhaps a miracle in gas. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, neither water nor metallic hydrogen. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. A very unique liquid is the creation of helium. Liquid hydrogen, which is not even water. What is liquid hydrogen? Liquid hydrogen, LH2, is the liquid form of hydrogen, which is a gas at normal temperature and pressure. It's a concentrated way to store hydrogen and is used in a variety of applications including space technology. LH2 is the ideal fuel for rockets, maritime sector. LH2 can be used to store large amounts of hydrogen on ships. Energy production. LH2 can be produced from primary energy sources with minimal environmental impact. Alternate fuel. LH2 is being considered as an alternate fuel for R&D applications. Here are some properties of liquid hydrogen. Temperature. LH2 is a liquid at minus 253 degrees Celsius, minus 423 degrees Fahrenheit at atmospheric pressure. Density. LH2 is about 14 times less dense than water. Color. LH2 is non-corrosive and has a light blue tint phase change. LH2 rapidly turns from liquid to gas when exposed to higher temperatures. Storage. LH2 must be stored, transported and evaporated under pressure. LH2 is more difficult to handle than conventional fuels and is highly flammable. It's stored in thermally insulated tanks to prevent it from evaporating too quickly. Liquid hydrogen, Wikipedia, HTTPS, EN Wikipedia organization, Wiki, liquid hydrogen. Liquid hydrogen H2 is the liquid state of the element hydrogen. Hydrogen is found naturally in the molecular H2 form. To exist as a liquid, H2 must be cooled below its critical point of 33 K. However, for it to be in a fully liquid state at atmospheric pressure, H2 needs to be cooled to 20.28 K minus 252.87 degrees Celsius minus 423.17 degree Fahrenheit. A common method of obtaining liquid hydrogen involves a compressor resembling a jet engine in both appearance and principle. Liquid hydrogen is typically used as a concentrated form of hydrogen storage. Storing it as liquid takes less space than storing it as a gas at normal temperature and pressure. However, the liquid density is very low compared to other common fuels. Once liquefied, it can be maintained as a liquid for some time in thermally insulated containers. There are two spin isomers of hydrogen, whereas room temperature hydrogen is mostly orthohydrogen. Liquid hydrogen consists of 99.79% parahydrogen and 0.21% orthohydrogen. Hydrogen requires a theoretical minimum of 3.3 kWh kg 12 mj by kg to liquefy and 3.9 kWh kg 14 mj kg, including converting the hydrogen to the para isomer, but practically generally takes 10 to 13 kWh kg 36 to 47 mj kg compared to a 33 kWh kg 119 mj kg. Heating value of hydrogen. The certain effect on us, don't be afraid of harm. a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. That is Satan's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the law. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the law. Saturn is the god of discipline, does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase the law. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase the law. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm, a unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen, a unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. How liquid hydrogen is formed on Saturn? Liquid hydrogen forms on Saturn as a result of increasing pressure as you travel deeper into the planet. Hydrogen gas to liquid. As you go deeper into Saturn's atmosphere, the hydrogen gas slowly turns into liquid. This happens because of the increasing pressure. Liquid to metallic hydrogen. As you go even deeper into Saturn, the hydrogen turns into liquid metallic hydrogen. This happens because the hydrogen molecules are squeezed so tightly together that they lost their individual identities. Metallic hydrogen layer. Saturn's liquid metallic hydrogen layer is believed to be thinner than Jupiter's. Saturn's core is thought to be made of rock and nickel iron alloy. The core is believed to have formed first, and then the planet was able to gravitationally pull in the light hydrogen and helium gas that make up most of its mass. Deep within Saturn, the pressure is so enormous that it turns the hydrogen gas into a liquid. Even though the Saturn from the outside page 5 temperature is also very high, still deeper where the pressure is even greater, the liquid hydrogen acts like a metal and can conduct electricity. Saturn from the outside in Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the government, https www.jpl.nasa.government, edu, pdfs, jss, mini, pdf. Although no one has ever traveled from Saturn's atmosphere to its core, scientists do have an understanding of what's there based on their knowledge of natural forces, chemistry and mathematical models. If you were able to go deep into Saturn, here's what you might find along your journey. First, you would enter Saturn's upper atmosphere, which has super fast winds. In fact, winds near Saturn's equator, the fat middle, can reach speeds of 1100 miles per hour, that is almost 4 times as fast as the fastest hurricane winds on earth. These winds get their energy from heat rising from Saturn's interior. As gases in Saturn's interior warm up, they rise until they reach a level where the temperature is cold enough to freeze them into particles of solid ice. Icy ammonia forms the outermost layer of clouds, which look yellow because ammonia reflects the sunlight. Other chemicals trapped in the ammonia ice particles add shades of brown and other colors to the clouds. Methane and water freeze at higher temperatures, so they turn to ice further down below the ammonia clouds. Hydrogen and helium rise even higher than the ammonia without freezing at all. The remain gases above the clouds tops. Although Saturn is ruled by hydrogen and helium, the atmosphere of the entire planet is always full of clouds. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy still. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy still. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy still. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy still. Snow is probably rare on Saturn, but there is a season in Saturn. Each season is very long, maybe even several phases of snow. Each season is very long, maybe even several phases of snow. Snow is probably rare on Saturn, but there is seasons in his Saturn. His season is a very long, maybe even several phases of the snow. His season is a very long, maybe even several phases of the snow. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Maybe even ammonia snow. Maybe even ice of water. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. Maybe even ammonia snow. Maybe even ice of water. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Although Saturn is always surrounded by clouds, Saturn's outer body is never without clouds. Do Saturn's clouds ever rain down and make Saturn's body wet? Why is Saturn so full of clouds? Saturn has a variety of clouds due to the planet's atmosphere, which is made up of different layers with varying compositions and temperatures. Upper cloud layers. These clouds are made up of ammonia ice and are located at a temperature range of 100 to 160 kilowatt and a pressure range of 0.5 to 2 bar. Water ice clouds. These clouds are located at a pressure range of 2.5 to 9.5 bar and a temperature range of 185 to 270 kilowatt. Ammonia hydrosulfide ice clouds. These clouds are located at a pressure range of 3 to 6 bar and a temperature range of 290 to 235 kilowatt. Lower layers. These layers contain water droplets and ammonia in an aqueous solution. The lower layers have higher temperatures and pressures. The location of the clouds on Saturn is predicted based on the temperature at which vapor will condense into droplets. The upper layers of clouds are made up of ammonia ice. Traveling toward the core, clouds of water ice form with bands of ammonium hydrosulfide ice intermix. The lower layers of Saturn see higher temperatures and pressures. Water droplets are found here mixed with ammonia. 14 November 2012. Saturn's Silhouetted clouds, NASA science.government, https science.nasa.government, resource Saturn's silhouetted 5 October 2006. Saturn's silhouetted clouds. This false color mosaic of Saturn shows deep level clouds silhouetted against Saturn's glowing interior. The image was made with data from Cassini's visual and infrared mapping spectrometer, which can image the planet at 352 different wavelengths. This mosaic shows the entire planet, including features like Saturn's ring, shadows, and the terminator, the boundary between day and night. The data were obtained in February 2006 at a distance of 1.6 million kilometer, 1 million miles from directly over the plane of Saturn's rings, which appear here as a thin blue line over the equator. The image was constructed from images taken at wavelengths of 1.07 microns shown in blue, 2.71 microns shown in green, and 5.02 microns shown in red. The blue-green color lower right is sunlight scattered of clouds high in Saturn's atmosphere, and the red color upper left is the glow of thermal radiation from Saturn's warm interior, easily seen on Saturn's night side top left within the shadow of the rings, and with somewhat less contrast on Saturn's day side bottom night. The darker areas within Saturn show the strongest thermal radiation. The bright red color indicates areas where Saturn's atmosphere is relatively clear. The great variety of cloud shapes and sizes reveals a surprisingly active planet below the overlying sun scattering has. The brighter glow of the northern hemisphere versus the southern indicates that the clouds and hazes there are noticeably thinner than those in the south. Scientists speculate that this is a seasonal effect, and if so, it will change as the northern hemisphere enters springtime during the next few years. The Cassini-Huygens mission is a cooperative project of NASA, the European Space Agency, and the Italian Space Agency. The Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a division of the California Institute of Technology in a Pasadena, manages the mission for NASA's Science Mission Directorate, Washington DC. The Cassini orbiter was designed, developed, and assembled at JPL. The visual and infrared mapping spectrometer team is based at the University of Arizona, where this image was produced. For more information about the Cassini-Huygens mission, https saturn.jpl.nasa.government, home index.cfm. The visual and infrared mapping spectrometer team homepage is at http www.bims. ipl.arizona.edu, credit NASA, JPL, University of Arizona. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Snow is probably rare on Saturn, but there is a season in Saturn. Each season is very long, maybe even several phases of snow. Each season is very long, maybe even several phases of snow. Snow is probably rare on Saturn, but there is season in Saturn. Each season is very long, maybe even several phases of snow. Each season is very long, maybe even several phases of snow. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Maybe even ammonia snow. Maybe even ice of water. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. Maybe even ammonia snow. Maybe even ice of water. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. There are many varieties of the ice. That is why Saturn is so unique. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Saturn's climate, it is very cloudy. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. Does it rain? Maybe it would be icy skill. It is said that Saturn is always surrounded by clouds. Why is Saturn always surrounded by clouds? Is Saturn always covered by clouds? Is Saturn covered in clouds? Saturn is blanketed with clouds that appear as faint stripes, jet stripes and storms. The planet is many different shades of yellow, brown and grey. Winds in the upper atmosphere reach 1600 feet per second, 500 meters per second in the equatorial region. What is the weather like on other planets? NASA Science Place, NASA Science for Kids .government, HTTPS spaceplace.nasa.government. Weather on other planets. By the time you reach gas giant Saturn and its beautiful rings, you are really far from the sun, about 900 million miles. That's almost twice as far out as Jupiter. The distance comes with a freezing average temperature of about minus 285 degrees Fahrenheit. The most familiar weather in the solar system is actually on Saturn's largest moon, Titan. Scientists believe that Titan experiences seasons, has clouds that rain, and has an atmosphere made largely of nitrogen just like ours. Unfortunately, rather than a water cycle, Titan cycles a chemical called methane. The rain then that falls from the clouds is methane, and it falls into lakes, rivers and seas of methane. And Titan is far too cold for human tourists. Quick history. Saturn has been known since ancient times because it can be seen without advanced telescope. Four robotic spacecraft have visited Saturn, including Pioneer 11, Cassini, and Voyager 1 and 2. The Saturn effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. That is Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. Saturn is the god of discipline. Does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. Saturn is the god of discipline. Does not like manipulation. If everything is right, Saturn's blessings increase, Lord. If everything is right, Saturn's blessing increase, Lord. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. That Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. This is what astrology believes. Saturn brings both danger and profit. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. Saturn is also one of the best planets. The best Saturn means the human heart too. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. The Saturn's effect on us. Don't be afraid of harm. A unique feeling. Lest the untoward happen. A unique feeling. Let the untoward happen. How many types of clouds are there on Saturn? Saturn's clouds have many features, including ammonia clouds. The top visible cloud take in is made of ammonia clouds, found about 100 kilometers below the tropopause. Ammonium hydrosulfide clouds. The second cloud deck is made of ammonium hydrosulfide clouds found about 170 kilometers below the tropopoles. Water ice. The clouds are arranged in three distinct layers composed of ammonia, ammonium sulfide, and water ice. Haze, a layer of haze formed by the action of sunlight on Saturn's upper atmosphere, lies above the clouds. Small scale convective clouds features. These features are found on Saturn. Isolated convective clouds with dark rings. These features are found on Saturn. Longitudinal waves. These features are found on Saturn. Saturnian clouds. NASA science.government, https science.nasa.government. Resource Saturnian clouds, 16 December 2004. Saturnian clouds. This enhanced color image of the northern hemisphere of Saturn taken by Voyager 1 on November 5, 1980 at a range of 9 million kilometers, 5.5 million miles, shows a variety of features in Saturn's clouds. Small scale convective cloud features are visible in the brown belt, and isolated convective cloud with a dark ring is seen in the light brown zone, and a longitudinal wave is visible in the light blue region. The smallest feature visible in this photograph are 175 kilometer, 109 miles across. Time-lapse images of cloud features like those shown in this image not only provide information on how these storms evolve with time, but provide a way to measure atmospheric wind speeds on Saturn and the other gas giants. Winds blow mainly along lines of contrast, constant latitude. Near Saturn's equator, winds blow eastward the same direction as Saturn rotates at speeds of about 1100 meters per second, 500 miles per hour. Saturn is a very amazing planet. Friends, I have written a lot about Saturn. You decide whether my attempt to write about Saturn will have an impact on the coming generation or not. Till then, allow me to write our next article about Uranus.